What is up, everyone? Welcome to L2R2 PlayStation Podcast. My name's Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, Callum Monroe. Callum, I already buggered that. How do we do this? It's been 2 weeks off and I already screwed this up. And I noticed my camera is making me look like a tomato. I think it's because my shirt is red. So it's just saying, oh, that's your skin tone now. But Callum, how are you doing?
Yes, similar to you, I'm in the middle of, well, just at the tail end of moving house. So it's been a busy few days, but yeah, it's nice to sit down, and this is why the lovely kids background thing's on, because behind me is just a bunch of boxes that I need to get sorted. So I thought I'd hide them from anybody being able to see.
I was going to say, this is your new location. So you got a beachfront property. It's a pretty good
Yeah,
setup.
yeah, it's a nice day as well. It's quite bright for 6 o'clock, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
And everything's cell shaded, cartoony somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, how you been? Been playing anything? I know you were on vacation for a bit, enjoying, was it Scotland?
Yes, yeah, I went up to Scotland to see my parents and spend some time with the family, and yeah, it was really, really nice. I love going up to Scotland, sort of whenever I can. It's always one of those places, though, especially sort of around England, where if you say, "Oh yeah, I went on holiday to Scotland," they sort of look at you like that's not like warm. Like, it's not a warm place. It's not. But no, I love it. It's I love like all the history of it and all the lovely sort of wild walks you can do and stuff. So and obviously seeing my family, so that's all right as well, I guess. So
Nice. Yeah,
but yeah, so it's been good.
that's so. Yeah, I've seen, the pictures from what I can see on the internet of Scotland look amazingly beautiful. Yeah, so I would definitely, I understand it's colder from where you are already. So it's like, that is a bummer. I hate the cold, but I think it'd be worth it just seeing everything and experiencing it firsthand would be dope.
Yeah, well, I think the sort of real Scotland weather is just every single kind of weather you can imagine in one day. Like everything just moves really quick. Like if you look up at the sky, you see the clouds just like moving so fast. But I don't know if it's because you're just like really close to them or whatever. But yeah, the weather is bizarre up there. And then when it gets to winter, then it just snows every day. So that's when it's a bit more predictable. But yeah, it's a lovely place. Definitely recommend it. It's cheap as well. It's a cheap holiday. Well, I mean, obviously for you the flight wouldn't be, but when
Right.
you're actually there, it's not. It's a nice little cheap place to. You wouldn't need much spending money.
Nice. That's awesome. Been up to playing anything, I guess, on vacation in Scotland? Not really, but playing any games?
Yeah, I actually have been playing the new FIFA game a little bit, just because it's not even like a game that I necessarily enjoy that much. It's just scratches an itch that I have quite often, being a big football fan. So
Yeah.
playing a little bit of that. I tried to jump back into Deathloop as well, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure on it now. I think having like the week away from it, has sort of made it difficult to go back into. I think just because there's so much. I didn't quite realize how much stuff there is to like take in, especially with your objectives and the different leads you have. And I just feel like it doesn't really direct sort of me in enough to be able to jump back in. I was kind of like in like really immersed into it, and then the week away, I just kind of lost the direction it was trying to take me. And so I'm not sure whether I'll go back to it, but I did enjoy sort of playing it and spending some time with it.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same exact boat where I was having fun with it and I took some time off. There was last week, there was the Halo weekend beta. And I understand we're a PlayStation podcast, but man, I could not get enough of that. So I took a big break off of Deathloop and then jumping back in. Yeah, they do kind of, navigate you towards, okay, here's what you've unlocked as far as who you need to kill and what order, blah, blah, blah. But you have to find those little checkpoints as well. So if you're just kind of running around, you don't have that that system to guide you. And I've been in the same boat where I don't quite remember what I'm doing. I would like maybe a little bit more. I always go where it's like I don't want to be handheld or have my hand held, and then when they don't, it's like, okay, I need my hand held now. Actually, get an adult over here and have them escort me. But yeah, I do want to see it to the end, but I'm in the same boat. I think I'm maybe about halfway to 3/4 of figuring out the path, and then I need to execute that path. But yeah, same boat.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's also an element of it kind of feels a bit repetitive to me as well. I think mostly because it doesn't have like a not a direction, but like a narrative path necessarily. Like obviously that's the point of the game, and I get that people prefer that kind of thing. But yeah, I just think you're often fighting in similar areas. You're constantly going through the same places you've been, and all the enemies are very similar, and the guns I find quite samey as well. And I'm not really using much of the powers that you get, and I'm upgrading them and everything, but nothing's really grabbing me. I just don't know. I just don't feel like I'm maybe sort of as into it as I was when I first started playing, and I've just got so many games that I want to play now that it kind of made it easier for me just to notice that and not sort of force my way through it. Because I mean, it could be that if I sat down and just forced myself through a few more hours, it might grab me again. But I've just got so many games that I'm kind of relieved in a way that I wasn't quite gelling with it as much as I thought I would. Because now I can move on to something like Kena, Bridge of Spirits, or Ratchet and Clank, or something else that's out that's a bit more bite size as well. More manageable.
Yeah, I'm the same. Well, I'm a notorious piece of shit where I don't finish a lot of the games, and I beat myself up over it. But especially as we go into this holiday season, there's so much coming out, and it's like, man, it's gonna be tough to jump back into this, the stacking up backlog that I already have. But they're always there. I can always go back and try to remember what the hell is the point of Deathloop, and I will at some point. But there's already stuff coming out very soon that I'm excited for. So.
Yeah, for sure. And you never know, they might bring out some DLC or something that will sort of pull you back. But, I'm glad I got it, and I'm glad I played it. I think it is quite, a unique game of this year. And I think it's going to probably be talked about, at the end of the year and everything like that. So I'm glad I got to at least experience it so I can be part of those conversations, or like at least understand those conversations about it.
Yeah, and I think they will support this game with DLC. They did that with Dishonored for quite a while. I think even Prey got a lot of after the fact DLC and even different play modes. So I think they will definitely keep updating. I don't know how fast it will come out, but maybe early 2022 we'll see some new stuff to add on to it. So yeah, I'm excited. I think they'll keep supporting it, and it's a cool game. Yeah, and I love that I was glad to jump in the first day and give them my money so I can show some kind of support for this type of game, because they really make just unique experiences, and I really want to just try and reward. Same with Remedy with Control or whatnot, or even though I didn't like or didn't have as much fun as I wanted to with Returnal, I wanted to support that from the gate, because it's like they're making weird stuff. I want more of that weird stuff, so I'll go back to it at some point. Nice, Callum. Well, not playing a bunch. You know what I did play? It's again not PlayStation, but I've been jumping to a lot of Beat Saber on VR. And man, let me tell you, I'm having a blast. I finally figured out how to download user-created songs, because that was one of my issues with the original, like the vanilla Beat Saber. It's where you have their marketplace, and there's stuff there. It's a lot of, EDM primarily music, and I like EDM. I guess I'm hip, I'm young. I can do all the TikTok moves like everybody else, but I would like a broader range of music, and they don't really have that much options there. And so if you actually do the PC version and do that, you can even do a wireless thing with Oculus, which works pretty well. It just fully unlocks all these different songs, and I'm having a blast just, staying there until my Oculus dies, basically, and living in VR. And it's very, very fun.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's I played a little bit of Beat Saber, and I did notice the sort of lack of songs, and also the song packs they have are very expensive as well.
Yeah,
for what you get, but yeah, it's a really cool game. I really like rhythm games. I used to really love like Guitar Hero, and even like DJ Hero. I remember really enjoying as well. So yeah, it's definitely something that I'd probably enjoy if I played a bit more. But yeah, I need to connect my Oculus up to my computer at some point and just have a little look around. I know that Resident Evil 4 is due out soon. I think it's this month actually.
yeah.
Which will be a pretty big one. Very sort of excited to play that.
That one I'm kind of go for it.
I was going to say, yeah, especially. Oh, go on.
No, just because I'm from all the wording, it seems like it's only Oculus 2, and I'm hoping that when it actually launches, they're just not promoting the original Oculus, and I can still download it there. But it seems like it's only on Oculus 2.
Yeah, that's annoying. Hopefully they'll like bring it out on Steam or something as well, so that if the Quest 1 isn't up, I can't imagine it wouldn't be up to scratch. But if for whatever reason it won't work standalone, and hopefully they'll at least give people with the Quest 1 the option to connect to their PC and play. Because yeah, that's going to be. I mean, I think it's just something that came out of left field. It's a really cool idea, especially considering it's just the same game but reworked so that you can play it in VR. And I think that it's just really cool. I just don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Where I mean, obviously VR is very niche anyway, so it's hard to compare to anything else. But it's just it's just a really cool idea that I don't think anybody expected. And yeah, it's one of those things, well, because you know what's coming, so you're already excited just to see certain bits in VR, and I think it's just going to sell itself, I think, and I'll definitely be giving it a go. Not sure how brave I'll be and how far I'll be able to get through, but yeah, I'm really, really excited to see how that turns out.
Yeah, same. I'm hoping I can play this on my standard Oculus. I was even the other day looking at the prices on the new one, and it's actually cheaper than when I bought my original Oculus. So it has me debating, do I just like jump in and buy a new one and have two Oculus for some reason, one on each eye? I don't know. But yeah, I don't want to miss out. I'm hoping that it comes to the original one. But yeah, that seems perfect in VR. I don't know about, I guess because I played all the way through already, I think I can handle it without I don't think I'll be super scared playing it. That one maybe didn't rely. I mean, it was scary, but it was a bit more actiony, I guess, or they made you feel, I guess because of the lack of ammo, sometimes the tense situations became out of that. But dealing with the villagers up close, like I think it's definitely gonna be intense, but I wonder if I'll be able to handle it, I imagine.
I think there's going to be, because I'm in the same boat, played Resident Evil 4, I know it, I can sort of write out how it all plays out. I've played it so many times, but I think in VR it's just going to be it's a completely different feeling because you're seeing everything from such a different perspective, just even things like when you go into the castle, you'll be able to look up at the ceiling, I think. And Resident Evil games are always games that have had really particularly scary environments and locations, and I think that's something that maybe people aren't really aware of that's going to be so different in the VR version, is that when you go into a house, you're going to be in that house, and the fact you'll be able to interact with cupboards and drawers, it's just going to add such a sense of being there. So when you do see these enemies that are going to be right up in your face as well, it's going to be for me at least, that's going to terrify me.
Now that reminds me, RE7, I think it still has been locked on PSVR. I don't think we've seen a PC version of that yet for some reason. But do you think we'll get an RE8 on VR and maybe PSVR too?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends how they take it, because Resident Evil 7, I think the reason that's probably not come to Oculus is because it does need a controller still. You can't, it doesn't have, you don't reach out and grab things. It's just basically how you view the game. So I would imagine that if they did, that they'd be able to do it for Resident Evil 8, not easily, but a bit more simple than if they would have to change everything like they are for RE4. So yeah, maybe they'll do something similar where you just play it as it plays now, but your monitor is essentially your VR headset, and it puts you in that 3D space. And I think I've said before that's my favorite VR game, Resident Evil 7. I think playing sort of with a VR and a controller still, I think is the perfect blend of what makes the two ways of playing the best. Because as much as I love playing on my Oculus Quest 2, you have to have an area, you have to be stood up, you have to make sure it's all charged and everything, and then you've got to wail around like a mental person for an hour or so. Whereas playing Resident Evil 7, I was just sat on the couch with a controller as normal, and it was such an enhanced experience just from that. So I'd really like to see Resident Evil 8 do that, and if they do, completely rework it, if they were going to do it, and or Oculus or whatever, I think I'd actually probably prefer the PlayStation VR sort of direction.
Yeah, and I wonder if with Oculus there is Bluetooth functionality. So is it that crazy to pair, a Bluetooth controller? We've seen now with newer consoles, you can kind of, Bluetooth is the only thing that they really focus on connecting. So you can connect different controllers that weren't intended. So maybe there's a way to do that, or I'm not sure. But I think you're right, where because RE7 needed that controller, it wasn't reworked for, motion controls. That's why they went with that. But yeah, I love that they're dipping into these VR spaces now, games you wouldn't imagine that can work there. So, now's the future where we're seeing that. So it's very exciting to get in. And
Yeah,
VR is so cheap now, it's really anybody can jump in. So it's pretty dope.
yeah, and I think actually what you just said about a controller, that's probably something that I could imagine Oculus doing, is releasing their own just gamepad. You see it
True.
with Nintendo and Steam and all these different places that just create these just generic controllers. But I'm not sure whether I'm in the majority when I say like I like to play VR with a controller. I'd imagine that with how everything seems to be going with the Quest and wireless everything, then maybe people do just prefer playing stood up. Being able to grab out with your hands and everything, which is completely fair enough. I mean, I still haven't played Half-Life Alyx. I'm sure my opinion could be swayed from that, but yeah, it might just be that I'm completely in the minority and it's not a popular opinion. I hope it is popular because I love Resident Evil 7. I think that was just the best possible VR experience you can have.
Yeah, that's one I need to play. I'm in the opposite situation where I loved Alex and was lucky enough to get the PC going and the Oculus set up and played it that way. But yeah, as long as they can kind of, not every game needs to be where you have full blown, you need to move your entire living room to play. And a lot of games now do give you that option where you can sit down, you can kind of basically crouch with one button as you need to, so you can do all your movements and stuff. But yeah, I guess it needs to be, does the experience need it a full room experience, or can you do it seated? It depends on the actual game itself. But yeah, you know what? That reminds me, I did play, because I was stuck in VR land last night. I didn't want to stop, and so there was a big boxing fight last night with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I actually watched that on my Oculus. I just streamed it from my PC, and I was able to do the wireless thing where you can bring your desktop and you can scoot it up to your. So I felt like I was like in the stands watching them. I did get dizzy fairly quickly, so I just scrapped that. But it was cool to have that ability to just bring your screen around you and be there, basically.
That's awesome. I watched it this morning. Sort of caught up because I think it was on at about 5 a.m. UK time. So yeah, I caught up this morning, and yeah, it was great fight.
It was nuts. Yeah,
it was a lot. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. But yeah, it was great fight.
Yeah, and I guess I'm kind of a fair weather boxing fan, but with these two guys, when they go at it, they just it's just always entertaining, and it just reinvigorates my interest in boxing. And it was just an insane kind of battle back and forth, and man, absolutely loved it. But yeah, watched that in VR, felt sick, felt like I was getting punched a couple of times. But yeah, we'll move on to some PlayStation news. Callum, we got this big one. We mentioned Returnal earlier. Big Returnal update. So just going to the little spiel here from GamesRadar.com. Returnal could be due for a big update, judging by a large patch recently spotted for the developer beta version of the game. The self-describing Twitter account PlayStation Game Size shared the news about the internal update, which it says increases the game size by about 6 gigabytes. Back in May 2021, in response to the lack of checkpoint system, Housemarque said, quote, "We hear the community and we love you all. Nothing to announce now, but keep playing and enjoying the challenge as you can." So we're theorizing what that update could be. Is it just some kind of bug fix? But for 6 gigabytes, seems like some content of some sort is coming. Do you imagine this update is some kind of checkpoint thing? I doubt a difficulty adjustment, but what do you think is incoming?
Yeah, I mean, it could be pretty big depending on what it is. But I'm not sure. I mean, it definitely could be a checkpoint thing, but I'm not sure that that's what that will sort of help too much, because I don't think I imagine by checkpoint it means that you can just turn your PS5 off, not that you get a checkpoint, so that when you die you respawn back. But yeah, I think the main problem for me with Returnal that makes it hard to go back to is just there's not enough like tangible progress. You can't, every time you start a new run, you don't feel stronger than the run before, and I think that's like a huge draw, especially from games like Hades, where every single run you can upgrade things. You just feel stronger every time. Whereas in Returnal, every time I died, I just felt so uninspired or unmotivated to go again, because I was like, well, what's the difference? I'm no better off than I was last time. So, but yeah, so I don't know. I mean, if it's possible to change something like fundamental like that, and that's what they're looking at, because I imagine that's surely a shared view by quite a few people. I'd hope that maybe that was spoken about the same amount of the checkpoint system. But then again, I think that's more of a fundamental thing to change rather than, adding something like being able to resume your progress if you turn your console off. So, but either way, it's nice that they're hearing feedback and hopefully looking like they're going to be, applying something to keep everyone happy and hopefully draw, people like me and you back that sort of fell off.
Yeah, it's interesting where I think it is a lot of work, as you mentioned, to do any kind of checkpoint system. There was even comments from them around the same time last May where they said it wasn't just an easy path to implement something like that, but they were working on what could be done. So I don't know if it's something like that. Maybe as you bring that up, maybe the easier option is to have some kind of difficulty slider, because that's just modifying the amount of damage you take or the amount of damage that you give. I don't know if that's the path they want to take, though. It seems like they intentionally made it the difficulty that they wanted it to be for balancing. Yeah. So I don't know. And I don't think 6 gigabytes is enough for some kind of like DLC thing. I did assume that when we had PlayStation's last stream, I thought we were going to see some kind of announcement, teaser for DLC, because I think that is coming. But yeah, it's strange. I'm not sure what that could be, but I'm leaning towards some kind of modification with saving. But I think that is a lot of work. Or maybe this is just 6 gigabytes of bug fixes, a couple months later. But it seems like it's now smoothed out. I know they had some bug stuff in the beginning. Seems like the experience is, from what I can tell, no one's complaining about it anymore. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I mean, it could be, a big moment for the game to be able to bring people back. And also it's been out for long enough now that you'd imagine that changing the difficulty wouldn't matter too much. I think the people who were going to beat it have beat it now.
Right.
They've experienced the game as it was supposed to be experienced, and so have us who didn't quite get on with it. So the game they intended to be experienced has probably been experienced by whoever was going to play it by now. So there's no reason why not to open it up to people who want to play it, because there is a great game in there. But so yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do. Either way, I similar to Deathloop, I think Return was a great game. It just is not necessarily for me the way that it's been done. But I love Housemarque, and I think we'll continue to see lots of great games from them.
Yeah, that's you mentioned how it's not for you. That's something that I'm coming around to a lot more now, where I can still respect something. I go, okay, I gave it a shot. It may not be for me, but it doesn't give me a negative viewpoint at all. I can still just show it the respect, where with Returnal, I wanted to love it. It's got a really cool setting, interesting story. The gameplay mechanics do feel like really tight and very much like Housemarque. It's just the way the systems were implemented where, I wasn't having, I guess, the experience that I wanted, but I could still put it aside and go, I just see what they're doing. Not for me. But just growing up, I have that with a lot of games now, where I'm not going to crap on it like the internet does when they don't like something. I can go, okay, maybe not for me. If they do adjust it, sweet, I'll be there. But if not, I can just I can see it for what it is, and it just didn't hit all the checkpoints in my brain that I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many games out now. It's like I said, it is starting to now just become a bit of a relief when you pick up one of these games that you've been meaning to play in, and after a few hours, you're like, I don't actually think I'm enjoying this that much. It's quite nice to just realize that and move on to something else. But yeah, it's like you said, it is one of those games that is definitely good enough to warrant going back to at some point. Whether that's just sometimes when you just get an itch to play something, or whether that is they implement something to draw people back. It will be interesting to see what this update is. It might be nothing. It might just be some bug fixes, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm hoping that at least they give you a mode where they let you watch someone else who's better at the gameplay, and you feel like every once in a while you press a button that does something, you feel like you're there. So maybe something like that. At least for me. So we got the next one here, Callum. PS3, PS Vita to remove PS Store payment methods. This is from Sammy Barker of PushSquare.com. Sony will keep the PlayStation 3 and PS Vita storefronts open as previously promised, but it seems that the compromise is that it will remove most funding methods from the devices natively. Here's how it will work. You'll be able to top up your PS Store wallet using gift cards or any of the above-mentioned options on a computer, smartphone, PS5, or PS4. You'll then be able to use the money attributed to your account to purchase games on your PS3 and PS Vita. So there are a few extra steps involved here, but it's better than the alternative, which was, of course, permanent closure. So I brought this up because a lot of the headlines were sometimes clickbaity, where it seemed like PS3 and PS Vita stores were closed, or you couldn't, top up or buy games anymore. But it seems like they've instead made it more complicated instead of like shutting it down, like they switched gears on. But how do you feel about this removing some of the standard things like PayPal and using your card now natively through those systems you can no longer do?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. So it's only through gift cards that you can pay now. Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it'll be easy enough, but it is a bit of a faff just to try and buy something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but I guess they are such old systems. I mean, maybe not the Vita, is probably harsh, but the PS3 certainly, you wouldn't be surprised to if it was easy to buy something on there. But so I think just the fact that you can buy stuff on there is good enough. But yeah, I mean, without knowing the reason why, it's hard to say. It's a stupid decision, but it certainly makes it more of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I think that same article goes on to say that they were imagining it had to do with security reasons and maybe just keeping those systems up to date for whatever kind of security attacks that could happen. Seemed like a no-go for a storefront that's kind of shrinking in size every year. So maybe they just didn't want to allocate resources to keep that stuff up to date and instead go another path where as long as you secure money through your PlayStation Store, through those gift cards, and that's a way to pay for something to keep people from, I guess, stealing money or something or entering the system that way. But it seems like that's what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure because I mean, obviously everything's on a server, and if it has to, if it takes things digitally or online, so I guess that they are very old bits of infrastructure that will probably have lots of different vulnerabilities to them. So it probably is something to do with that. And if so, then at least there's still a way to work around it. And I think getting a gift card is probably not the best thing, but I imagine you can now buy them online and instantly get your code and stuff like that. So I doubt it's too much of a hassle.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to actually poll people to see who's still using the store and does this impact them. I think it was a good decision for Sony to keep these stores alive for sure, just for nostalgic purposes and for game preservation purposes. But I think the majority of people, as we talked before, are moving towards the future, and so having those storefronts is more of a goodwill thing towards consumers. But I just don't know who's still holding on to their PS3, solely, and then getting games that way. But it is a positive thing for them to do, nonetheless.
Yeah.
All right, Cam, we got the next one here. Sony introduces game trials. Try PS5 games for a limited time. This is Liam Croft of PushSquare.com. Starting Friday, October 1st, PlayStation is giving PS5 owners a chance to download certain first-party titles and try them out for free of charge for a limited time. The first two games available are Death Stranding Director's Cut and Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Death Stranding Director's Cut will offer 6 hours of playtime, while Sackboy: A Big Adventure has a 5-hour trial. The timer starts as soon as you trigger the download, so make sure you've got some time to spare. Otherwise, you'll have wasted the opportunity. Your progress, save data, and trophies will carry over into the full game should you choose to buy either title after the game trial expires. Cam, how do you feel about Sony dipping their toes into these game trials?
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. I like that it's basically just the first however many hours of the game, so you can already start making progress and then seamlessly go into it. I think it's a great idea, especially for games like Death Stranding. For me personally, that's a game that I'm not sure whether I'd enjoy it or not. So it's a perfect opportunity to try it out.
Yeah, this is something that Steam does to a similar degree, where if you play within, I want to say it's like 4 or 5 hours, something like that, you can return the game flat out if you've purchased it, and that gives you time to kind of troubleshoot or realize, oh, my graphics card can't handle this thing, or whatever, my PC components can handle it. You can return it. So this is cool that it's something similar, but it's letting you try the game, see if you dig it. I wonder if they should move even further into this and unlock this for every first party title. And maybe as soon as it drops too, this could be a way to kind of compete with Game Pass, where they have all their first party titles just free or part of that service from the get-go. I wonder if this could be a little bit of a way to kind of compare it to that, where it's like you can play every first party title the first 5 hours, see if you dig it, and if not, you can be out of there. Maybe this could be a way to kind of balance it out and compete with that service.
Yeah, it's it's just nice to see these kind of things like return, especially if with how the PS5 tries to make everything easily accessible. If it's really easy to find as well, then it's really good. I think I just have kind of like almost like PTSD from the PS4 storefront, like where just every time I hear about anything, I'm just like, oh, that's going to be so hard to find.
Right.
So I just need to like get used to the PS5 making things easy. So hopefully, this will just be incorporated in really nicely, and it'll be easy to find these trials and try things out. So I think that's a really cool, opportunity to try things you wouldn't have done otherwise. And it's almost in a way comparable to Xbox Game Pass, because people are downloading these games as part of a subscription, maybe spending 2 hours, 3 hours with them, realizing they don't like them, and then not play it. But the reason they do that is because obviously they can just download them. So perhaps some of these trials will work in a way like that if they become more and more robust, where you can trial these games and then only spend money on the ones you actually feel like you want to invest time into, because 4 to 6 hours is a lot of time. I know it will differ depending on the game, but it's a lot of time to figure out whether you want to spend the money or not.
Yeah, it seems like, although that part, if you're spending 5 hours, 6 hours of game time getting to experience the game, you would realize if you like it or not. But it seems like the trial starts when you start the download. So you better have, a pretty decent internet connection. If you're in your old flat, it's like you would never be able to try this trial in the first place. But it seems like they're starting it then.
That's stupid.
It is. Yeah, it should be like, and they can tell when you're actually, the game is loaded, you press play, it should start then. So they need to twerk it a little bit, but yeah.
I missed that part. That's really stupid. It's just that's just such like a non measurable like timer to have.
Right.
Because even if you have good internet, sometimes your internet has an off day, and it might take like 3 or 4 hours to download something, and then you have 2 hours to play, and
Right.
that's really stupid.
That part is stupid, but yeah, especially with like Death Stranding director's cut, it's got to be 50 gigabytes ish. I haven't looked it up. Sackboy's a little bit smaller. I would imagine maybe 20, maybe even less than that. But still, you're spending the time just downloading the game. That's a bummer.
Yeah. I missed that. That's stupid.
But yeah, they have a good idea there. Just kind of tweak it where the trial starts when you play the game. Otherwise, it's a great idea.
Well, they've got to make the weird, stupid mistake or stupid decision. It's never perfect, is it?
No, yeah. I wonder if there's lawyer stuff in the way. I don't know, where it's just classic PlayStation just making a dumb decision here. But yeah, so we got our next one here, Calum. Sony finally confirms acquisition of Demon Souls PS5 dev Bluepoint Games. It's from last week here. Stephen Taibbi of pushsquare.com. Bluepoint is now officially part of the PlayStation Studios. The team is well known for its top-notch remasters and remakes of popular Sony properties like Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection, Child of the Colossus, and most recently Demon Souls, have all been very well received, and it seems Sony wants to keep the talented studio around. Sony announced alongside the acquisition that Bluepoint is working on a new original IP, but rumors have quickly risen that a remake is also simultaneously being worked on. And I did pull up a quote here from Colin Moriarty saying, this is also last week, I'm hearing through the grapevine Bluepoint may be on a journey to Yharnam, which is Bloodborne. How to Google it because I don't know much about Bloodborne, but maybe that's the next one that they're tackling a remake of. How do you feel about the acquisition of Bluepoint finally happening and what they could be working on?
Really cool. I mean, obviously they're great. They're a great studio to have around, with how impressive their remakes have been, and I'd love to see what they could do with an original IP. So that's really exciting to hear that being announced. But yeah, I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't be having two projects on the go, especially after being officially bought by Sony. I'm sure there's going to be a big growth of the team, and as more and more of that being owned by Sony, as more and more that money comes in and everything, I'm sure they'll grow in size, and I'm sure they'll probably have 2 or 3 projects on the go. So there's no reason not to think that they're not doing an original IP that's announced, and then maybe doing something Bloodborne related, because Bloodborne's been eerily quiet since it's come out, even with no support for a PS5 version. So it wouldn't surprise me. But either way, it's a really exciting studio to have, especially with all the rumors about Metal Gear Solid, which obviously might not be true, but it's still to the fact that people put their name with such a massive remake like that shows sort of their caliber.
Yeah, and it's been a long time coming where for the past, I don't know, ever since Shadow of the Colossus, it was like maybe, Sony needs to acquire them. And so finally they made the deal, made it happen. It's a perfect fit for them. I wonder, I've seen some opinions online whether it's weird to have this studio that primarily focuses on remastering titles to then tackle their, a new IP or a new kind of experience on their own. I don't know if I have an opinion either way on that. I feel like they've learned a lot so they can do something awesome, but they have learned all their skills off of reworking older stuff. But if they're doing that in tandem with still doing well-loved remasters, I think that could be great either way. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what they have learned to then create their own experience. As far as the Bloodborne rumor that's attached to this, as far as their remake goes, I do see online too, a lot of the hardcore Bloodborne fans are saying they just want a 60 frame per second like upgrade. Like, I don't know if this game needs to be fully remastered, but at the same time, it would look absolutely, it already looks really good, but it would look incredibly gorgeous if they did the full blown, remaster work on it.
Yeah, or whether it's going to be like a full blown sequel as well.
True.
You never know what might come out of it, but I'm sure we'll see something to do with Bloodborne again, whether or not it'll be from Bluepoint or whatever. But I mean, it's such a huge fan base, and it's had such little expansion on top of it.
Right.
Even in the form of giving it uncapped FPS on PS5. So it's a bit strange to the point where I think we'll definitely see something at some point. Maybe they're just holding it all in to sort of get a big bang when whatever it is announced. But yeah, I'd like to see sort of more Bloodborne. It's not a game I finished. I got very close to finishing it, but I know that people adore it, and I know that it's got a really cool sort of world. So it'd be nice to see that sort of still have things released about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they're working on, and I can't wait for the Uber fans to, if this is what they're working on, to finally get that, in the next PlayStation stream. I'm assuming maybe even this holiday to see that title, announced. They're going to go wild, so that's going to be great. But yeah, we got our next one here. We're talking about some Metal Gear news or rumors. Konami reportedly working on Metal Gear, Castlevania, and Silent Hill games. This is from IGN Joe Screbbles. Konami is reportedly working on games in the Metal Gear, Castlevania, and Silent Hill series, with both internal and external studios attached. Anonymous publishing sources told VGC that Konami is refocusing on developing games within its best-loved series. Per those same sources, the first of those games will be a reimagining of Castlevania being developed primarily by internal Konami studios. The report adds that Konami is planning remasters of the original Metal Gear Solid games for new consoles, as well as potential full remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Many have speculated that remake specialist Bluepoint would work on an MGS remake, but VGS's sources say that it is being handled by Singaporean Studio Virtuos, which previously worked on the Switch port of Dark Souls Remastered, among other projects. How do you feel about Konami finally pulling their head out of wherever and actually going, oh, we have these amazing titles, let's actually go back and reimagine them or put them out in some capacity? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, always is with Konami, it's one of those believe it when you see it kind of things. But yeah, I like as you know, I only played the first Metal Gear Solid for the first time recently, and I really enjoyed it, and I love Silent Hill. I haven't played Castlevania before, but obviously I know that those games are meant to be great as well. So hopefully, as much as I'm someone who enjoys original IPs, I think there's room for everything. So it'd be cool to see these, big names at least just be, in conversation again, because it's been a while since any of them have had, well, Metal Gear 5, I guess, but the other two series haven't had anything at least decent for a long time. So it'd be really cool to see a revival of even just one of those series.
Yeah, no, same. Especially Metal Gear, that property, that franchise has been around for so long and been dormant at least since 5. But it's as in the talk of remakes, like those first 4 are so in such a good spot to be remastered and just brought back to life, and it'd be a great idea with Silent Hill. I don't know if people love the Silent Hill franchise as much as they love the idea of a new one. I feel like sometimes the idea of, Kojima attached to that remake or the reiteration of it would have been really exciting, but at the very least, something in that property again would be awesome. But yeah, I'm just glad that they're finally, if this is true, they're actually going, hey, we have these properties that we've been sitting on. we need to do something with them. I'm hoping they're moving in this positive direction now, not just making their pachinko machines and just making money off of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's they're never really someone you can sort of put all your cards on. So
Right.
hopefully, you never know. Hopefully they work hard behind the scenes, and we just don't realize. So hopefully we'll see something exciting from them, especially after like the disaster they've had with the new Pro Evolution Soccer
Mm,
game, which has probably been like their only real positive that in like the game sort of sphere is the PES series, and it seems like they've royally messed that one up now as well. So yeah, we'll have to see. It'd be a good way to recover, as a company to dip their toes into these old series.
yeah, nope, I highly agree. Alrighty, Callum, we got the next one here. We had Last of Us Day last week, or maybe about 2 weeks ago. Last of Us Day brings our first look at the HBO adaptation. This is a screenshot that I have in the doc here that you can check out, and it's just the first still from this HBO show. Seeing this live action Last of Us in person. How do you feel about this first image?
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's it looks like they're staying very true to the game, which I think we always knew they would with Druckmann involved. But yeah, it looks cool. I mean, I'm really excited for it. So it was just exciting to see anything sort of announced about it. But yeah, I'm really really excited to see how it turns out. It'll be just really cool to even like things like my family who enjoy watching good TV. Obviously, they play games, so it'd be cool to be able to see them see this story unfold that I've sort of seen on games and things. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait. And just this image alone is so close to the game. And I'm also, I mean, where everyone's obviously excited for them to recreate scenes and whatnot. I'm really interested to see what they change and which direction they go. I want them to do that and lean into that. But this looks like, just a PS6, footage of the game or something like that. So it looks fantastic. Can't wait. I think I'm imagining next summer is when this thing is actually coming out. Could be wrong. But they're already filming, so I have a good feeling for the next summer season. We'll actually get to see this in live action. But there was a little bit, not a whole lot from Last of Us Day, but they did update us on Faction. So Naughty Dog had no update for Factions 2, just to say that they're still working on it. I was hoping maybe some kind of teaser or something like that, but still working on it. Do you have can you imagine a date, a time when this is actually going to come out?
I've absolutely no idea. I mean, it's one of those things that you just imagine that it could be any day now, but obviously after that, maybe it is a little bit longer. Hopefully this year we'll hear something about it. But yeah, I mean that's probably one of my most anticipated games at the moment. So yeah, I'd love to hear a proper update on it, and like you said, just to at least see a teaser or something to get excited about.
Right. Yep. We'll see. Maybe next Last of Us Day, we'll finally get an update saying we're almost done. We'll see.
Yeah.
We got some news on Dreams, or just an interesting story from Dreams here. So, help Dreams project Splatty's Adventure become a full-length game with Kickstarter campaign. This is Stephen Taibbi of PushSquare.com. Splatty's Adventure was first published in Dreams in 2019 during early access, and 3D platformer has been consistently updated ever since. It's a very colorful, engaging little game, but as mentioned, it's going to be much bigger. Its creators have taken a Kickstarter to raise funds, which will be used to greatly expand the scope of the game and speed up production. Assuming the game hits its goal of $40,000, Loomback Studios will be able to broaden Splatty's Adventure and make a full-length action platformer within Dreams. Further stretch goals will add voice acting, more character customization, bonus levels, fully animated cutscenes, and more. I want to bring this up because we've talked about with Dreams. It's such a great idea, but the path of like either monetizing it or creating a full experience, it's a bit complicated. But how do you feel about these creators taking a Kickstarter to kind of fund them creating a game within Dreams?
Yeah, I think it's really really cool. It's a great way to do it. 'Cause obviously, getting eyes on what is essentially a prototype. To sort of because not only does it mean that you've got almost like an audience straight away to help with getting funding, but it also proves that your core idea is working and people are enjoying it. So that it'll give the whole guys working on it a lot of confidence and everything going into it. And like I said, it's already built up its own hype by being in a playable state. So yeah, I think it's really cool. It's exactly what we, want from Dreams at the end of the day, and it's nice to see it, uh, kind of recycling, uh, content out like that. Yeah, it's really really cool.
Yeah, I would love for them to lean in more where they have maybe a built-in path through Dreams to get funded, or some way to then, charge per experience, but it's still locked within Dreams. You don't, it's an engine you don't own. It's you're using assets that are part of the game. I get that it's legally, a mess, but if you could be rewarded for spending all this time creating this experience, and then for them to, then put the game out, it seems like it'd be a great way to do it. But I get that it is super complicated. But if you could somehow have this way to release a game through Dreams and then be able to rework it so it works on PS4 or even PS Vita, like if they had this almost like a mini platform within PlayStation, as long as these creators, these devs could get paid for it, it could incentivize more devs to then go, I'm going to release something on Dreams instead, because there's actually a way to actually get paid and make money off of it. I guess the external way is through Kickstarter, but it'd be awesome to have this path through Dreams itself to, actually get paid to make a game. I feel like you'd have devs going there and releasing something. But yeah, I get that it's super complicated, but I just want there to be more of that path. But at least with Kickstarter, you can kind of do that.
Yeah, I actually thought I've just read sort of the rest of the article and just saw that they are releasing it on Dreams. I assumed that they'd be bringing it off of there, but I mean it's still cool that for the things I mentioned, but yeah, it's going to be a bit of a precarious situation, I guess, with if they intend to make any money on it, or maybe that's the main reason for the Kickstarter, is to just pay the people working on it, essentially, because I imagine there's not a huge amount of resource, considering you're using an engine that's within a game. So hopefully, yeah, that could just be a way of them paying the people who are working hard on it. But it's difficult because obviously they'd probably do a lot better than that much if they were to release it on outside of Dreams, on a different engine. But then again, that comes with its own risks and disadvantages. So, but yeah, it's an interesting situation. It'll be interesting to see if this happens more often. And I think this is probably the first one I've heard of anyway, because I know that we've been speaking about the potential of these kinds of things happening. So it's interesting to finally see it sort of materialize.
Yeah, I think this is the first, at least kind of advertised one that's become talked about on gaming outlets, where they're actually seeking a Kickstarter campaign to have it funded. Yeah, you're right, where it's if you've made this kind of successful game within Dreams, you can't then take it anywhere else. You'd have to then rework or find a new engine, and that's a whole thing. So if there was a path where they could, just make some money off of it, I just don't know how you do that. And maybe Dreams was never set up for that, but it also kind of is. It's a full-blown game engine within the PlayStation 4, PS5. So yeah, I'm hoping this is successful. Maybe it does start to turn the gears over at, I imagine it's out of Media Molecule's hands. It's got to be like a legal thing within Sony. But if they can then, see the success of this, see there's demand for it, maybe there's a way to create some kind of path through Dreams to release full-blown title. Maybe even it's something that they release standalone outside of Dreams, but still within the PlayStation ecosystem. I don't know, but at least we're on the track to see if this can kind of happen.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely an interesting thing, which I'm sure we'll see more of, and it might become more apparent on how this route works, and maybe it might be something that Media Molecule and Sony want to lean into, and try and get more people, especially as I know it's coming to PC at some point, isn't it?
You might be right. I believe so.
Yeah, so I know that obviously it will, as soon as it's available on PCs and workstations, it will probably become a lot more of a game engine, because you don't need to play a game to do it. You can sit at a desk and sort of treat it like a normal engine. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. I'm sure there is something in place now. It's probably just not needed to be public. So it'll be interesting to know what these paths are that people can take down the Dreams route.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited. It's there's so much potential there. So that's why it's super interesting to see, people tackle this. And I haven't really loaded Dreams in a while, but so I wonder what the community looks like, how large it is, but there's just so much potential there. And I wonder what Media Molecule works on next too, if they're just kind of supporting Dreams. They worked on it for so long, so they just spend more time supporting it, or are they kind of splintering and working on something else in tandem? I don't know, but they just put so much time and I imagine resources into Dreams itself. So maybe they're now just full blown, maintaining that property. But it's interesting.
Yeah. I will say though, the game they made for Dreams, I think it's called Art's Dream. That was I loved that. I thought
Yeah,
that was awesome. So that was sort of worth the admission fee in on its own for me. I think it's I mean, it's pretty underrated 'cause I don't really hear it talked about much even when it came out. But yeah, that was really really great. Definitely recommend that if people haven't tried that out yet.
yeah, nice. Yeah, I didn't finish it, but started up with Art Stream when Dreams first came out, and yeah, really really dug it. Needed to jump in because I have heard the same thing. I know you really loved it. Yeah, I mean, when you get to see Media Molecule actually, use their tools to create something, it's always top notch. I can't wait to see what they work on next. Maybe their next game is made within Dreams. That'd be a great way to show, hey, we're doubling down. Our next full blown title is created through Dreams. I wonder, but they're an interesting spot where I don't know how financially successful Dreams was. They spent so much time and effort on it. Does Sony go, yeah, work on, here's another blank check, work on something else? I wonder what their future looks like within Sony if it was successful enough to warrant, them working on another project. I don't know. I'd love to hear behind the scenes what's going on.
Yeah, I guess they're a bit of a wild card, aren't they? They can sort of be because they've clearly got caliber to make great, not games with narrative and everything. But you'd also imagine that the team that worked on the first Little Planet game and Tearaway and all these platforming games is probably a very different team now, and you'd have to imagine they had to hone that team and get a particular team that can build a game like Dreams because it's very different to. I mean, it has the same sort of mood and vibe, this kind of funny, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, but in terms of like what you're actually getting out of it is very different. So I imagine that they're probably a very different team to the ones that did make these single player games. But but not to say that they can't, because again, Artstream was great, and yeah, I'd like to see something from them. I imagine they'd probably have to use Dreams just because it'd be a bit of a bad PR move to
Right.
not. But I imagine that they can do things with Dreams that no one else can, obviously, as they made it. But yeah, it's definitely they're definitely an interesting case. It'll be interesting to see what they do going forwards.
Yep, I agree. Well, we will see. Time will tell. Well, Callum, that's all I have for you this week. It's the end of our news stories here. So we can end there. Any plans for the week? Jumping back into games or just going back to work?
Yeah, I'd like to. I've got Red Dead 2 downloaded actually,
Ooh.
so I might jump into that. I know it's like a massive investment, but I feel like it might be a good way to sort of just get back into sitting down and playing some things. Got my PC set up now as well, so I may have to look at what's going on around there as well. But yeah, there's a few games on the horizon that I definitely want to jump into. But I've been watching a bit of TV as well. I've been watching Midnight Mass on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I just started. I think I'm on episode 2. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I'm really enjoying that. I've just got the last episode to go, and I've also started Squid Game today.
Oh
Watched
dang, yeah.
that's episodes of that, and that's really really great as well. So yeah, I've been sort of trying to enjoy some entertainment. But games at the moment for the past few months have just been difficult, just due to moving a lot and everything. So, but yeah, I'll be definitely getting back into it. I think every time you sort of have a lull from gaming, when you get back into it, it's always like the best time to play a game. So I'm looking forward to getting that feeling of being hooked in again by something. Just not sure what it'll be at the moment.
You know what? If you're still in the Squid Games vibe, there's a Roblox game or like a level that people have made based on Squid Games. My nephew's playing it, so you can just merge those two worlds together and just experience the show.
I don't think I'd forgive myself if I downloaded Roblox. I think my PC would probably blue screen or something.
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing, man? Oh, you know what? I did watch the new Bond the other day.
Oh, yeah. Did you
Very
like
good.
it?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, loved it. I'm just a
Yeah.
huge. I wouldn't say like huge Bond fan. I can't say that. It's something about Daniel Craig's version that just brought me back into it. And I grew up watching like Pierce Brosnan as Bond as well. But I just love Daniel Craig as Bond. He's perfect, and they kind of send him off in this one. It's the cap off to his version of Bond, and I just loved it, man. It's just a bummer to not have him as Bond, but he's such a great actor too. I love him in anything. Yeah. But yeah, this new Bond is perfect.
I'd like to watch it. I mean, James Bond isn't something that I've ever been massively into. I've always loved the games. I think the games have always been I've always preferred the James Bond games over the films, I think. But
interesting.
But I think it's probably just because I just don't watch many of the films. So I'm sure if I watch the films, I'd probably feel differently. But yeah, because the Daniel Craig Bond films are probably the ones I've seen the most of. I used to like the Roger Moore ones as well. Like that, my dad used to show me those. But yeah, I think I've seen Casino Royale and Skyfall. I think they're the only two Daniel Craig ones I've seen. So
those are the best ones.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I love Casino Royale. I can't really remember Skyfall too much, but yeah, I think I do want to watch a new one. So I think I'll probably have to watch just all of them again, just to get that nice emotional send off that I'm sure there is as his sort of last Bond film. So, but yeah, I'm not a massive Bond fan, which is weird, I guess, because is it weird to be British and not enjoy James Bond, or is it more of like a thing for Americans? It's like
you tell me. I was gonna say I feel like he's British Superman, but I guess he's not on your radar.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he is. He's big. I mean, just the James Bond film coming out. I mean, even like I watched a football match the other day, and they had some weird James Bond themed thing like in the build up to the match. It was really weird. So it's definitely like a big thing here, but I wasn't sure if it was like, because it's just so stereotypical, like British spy kind of thing. I wasn't sure if it was like even better, like comfort food for Americans who probably just view Britain as that kind of thing.
Yeah, it might be a lot of that actually. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I will end up catching it at some point. I imagine.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just picture every British person wears a suit and just looks dapper all the time and has cool gadgets, but maybe not.
Yeah, you're not far off. We're not far off.
All right, Cam, went there for the week. Where can they find you online?
I'm on Twitter at Bear Munro.
Awesome. You keep up the show as well on Twitter at PlastiCartPod. That's it for us this week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.